Hello everyone, this is Marco and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you something I've been dwelling on releasing or not. This is just a really quick little video about how to improve the figures by Mattel by adding a bit more paint apps to them, but keeping them looking legit and as if they were still made by Mattel and still made in a factory, but just like prolonging some paint apps or longer the tail, or just putting the paint apps of the claws on and so on. So today I'm going to show you a few modifications that I've done to some of my Mattel Jurassic World Dominion figures, and I will paint the claws on the Therizinosaurus figure just to see how much of a difference it makes. So this is the Ferocious Pack Velociraptor Blue. I modified the tail, as you can see, and I'm really happy with it. I've basically took the tail from one of my spare broken battle damage Velociraptors and replaced it on this one, and I continued the blue and white stripe down all the way down the tail by color matching the original blue, and I think it looks much better in my opinion. The proportions look much better, and that's not the only thing I did. I also painted the claws on this one. I didn't paint the dew claw because Mattel doesn't do that on any of the other figures, just to make it look like it fits in with the other releases that they've done. This is what it looks like on the other side. That's what it looks like on the top. The original one had a really sort of obvious curve here and then went up and down. This one's pretty straight. I've tried to heat bend it and make it follow the same sort of shape like this, but it doesn't really want to stay. And that's pretty much it with this one. Just tiny little things that I added which improves it quite a bit, I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. It's just a little pet peeve of mine. It's not really a big problem, but I just can't help myself to fix these figures, you know? Anyway, moving on to the next one. So I went ahead and modified or touch up the Atrociraptors from the Owen Escape Pack. This is the first one right here. All I did was add the paint on the claws, and it makes such a difference. It looks like a complete figure now. It looked a bit unfinished before. It still looks a bit unfinished because of the hand claws not being painted, but Mattel never does that, except for on the Therizinosaur and one T-Rex, I believe. But this is what it looks like, and I'm pretty happy with it. I really like how they've painted the tail. They've only added one paint app on the tail and used as the base color the same color of the belly, which makes it look like the belly color goes all the way down to the tip, and that's really clever. And I think Mattel should continue with this approach on some other figures that work, because it makes it look much better. Okay, so moving on to the second Atrociraptor. This is Panthera, the other one was red, and I just did the same thing here. I've just added the paint apps on the claws. One other thing that I really like about this figure that Mattel did is the paint on the tail again. They've actually added two paint apps on the tail, which is pretty much unheard of, especially on a Ferocious Pack, because this is what it is. It's the sculpt for like a Tac Pack or Ferocious Pack or whatever. It's like the cheapest sculpts they make. The tail's got two paint apps. As you can see, there's the brown stripe there, which is the same one that is on the rest of the body, but also the belly color is also sprayed on the underside of the tail and on the tip. As you can see, this part is darker, so it blends in better with the rest of the body. Really nice. The last one is the Carnotaurus. So the paint apps on this one were a bit iffy. The eyes weren't placed very precisely at all, so I decided to completely repaint the eyes. I rubbed off the older eye paint application with IPA alcohol, and I just color matched the original color and painted my own eyes. It looks the same as what it should look like, but just with the more precise paint apps on the eyes. Then I continued the neck color all the way down to this part, which is usually where Mattel cuts off the paint for the belly, but this time they just put it up to there. So I color matched that and then added it on here. I painted the claws, and I also continued the orange patterning all the way down the tail. It looks legit. It looks like it's it came out of the factory like this, and it looks much more complete, less cheap, and I absolutely adore this figure. This is probably one of my favorite ones that Mattel has ever released, to be honest, because of the size. It's supposed to be an adult Carnotaurus, because that's what we see in Dominion, or at least in the trailer, but they decided to shrink it down so it could fit in the set, and I quite like it because it can pass as a juvenile Carnotaurus. We haven't had that before, but also we haven't had a figure of a Carnotaurus with this kind of articulation. Now next is the Therizinosaur. As you can see, the claws on the feet aren't painted, but the ones on the hands are. This is a pretty expensive figure. This is like one of the more pricey ones of the range. Over here in the UK it costs about £42, which I don't know how much it is in dollars. I'll probably put it on the screen right now. But yeah, it's pretty expensive. I'm converting what we pay over here into dollars as opposed to what you pay for it actually in the US. Just to give you an idea of how much more expensive the figures are over here in the UK because of tax reasons and import fees. But this is probably one of my favorite figure I think ever released by Mattel in terms of quality and sculpt. I'm not sure if it's completely identical to what we see in the film, but this head sculpt is probably one of the most appealing head sculpts that I've ever seen on a dinosaur figure, and it looks absolutely stunning, as well as the paint apps, except for the toe claws. So let's go ahead and paint those in. I'm going to be using grey paint. I'm just going to mix some white and black and kind of match these. So here it is with the toe claws painted. Now I'll give you a couple of tips, as it can be tricky sometimes to make it look like it's been made in a factory. So the cleanest way to do it is to grab your paintbrush, dip it in the color, and take some water as well and mix it in a bit, and then you brush the color in the direction of the texture of the nails. You can see the texture of the nails goes horizontal to us right now, so you want to brush it like this, so the brush strokes kind of match the texture so they're less visible. I didn't paint the dew claw because Mattel doesn't do that on any of the other figures. Also, once it's dry, I recommend you use a sealer like this one. This is a satin sealer that protects the paint and protects it from rubbing off or chipping away. Just what you want to do is just spray it on like that, wait for it to dry, and it's done. Also, make sure you use acrylic paints. Acrylics is perfect because it's plastic based and it will stick to the plastic underneath, which is in this case this greenish plastic used for the feet, better. And the paint that I use is ARTEZA acrylic paint, which is really good. I find it to be pretty tough and it hardly rubs off from my paint. I'll leave a link in the description. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
I would like to give a massive thank you to all of my Patreons. Seriously guys, your support really does mean the world to me, as it helps me do what I love for you. You help me buy materials, and most of all, you give me a helping hand with improving the quality of the content of my videos. Even if it's just a small donation, every little helps.